Turkey continues to bolster security along its southeastern border with Syria as Russian and Syrian jets resume intensive air strikes in Idlib and Hama. A convoy of military trucks was seen arriving in the Reyhanli district of Hatay province and entering a military compound near Turkey's border with Syria. The Syrian army stepped up its assault on Idlib, the rebels' last major stronghold, after Russian, Iranian, Turkish summit failed to agree a ceasefire suggested by Ankara. Turkey and Western powers have warned of a bloodbath if a major Russian-backed bombing campaign is launched in the heavily populated northwestern province that borders Turkey. A suicide bomber on a motorcycle detonated explosives close to a procession commemorating the death of former anti-Soviet Mujahideen commander Ahmad Shah Massoud. The blast wounded at least 2 people. It came hours after another suspected suicide bomber was shot by police in Kabul before he could detonate his device. The blast comes 4 days after more than 20 people were killed in a suicide bomber at a wrestling club in Kabul, as well as a secondary blast apparently aimed at first responders and journalists. At least 19 people have died in South Sudan after a small aircraft carrying passengers from capital Juba to the city of Urol crashed. There were 22 people on board the flight that departed Juba International Airport in the morning. A Ugandan and Ethiopian national were among the victims. Another source says there had been 3 children among the passengers. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khomeini urged Iran's armed forces to increase their powers to scare off the enemy as the country faces increased tension with the United States. Khomeini's statement comes after Iran's elite Revolutionary Guards said it fired 7 missiles in an attack on Iraq-based Iranian Kurdish descendants that killed at least 11 people on Saturday. At least 6 people were reported killed in Japan as Typhoon Jebi sliced across the west, creating havoc at airports and damaging buildings. Kansai International Airport was crippled in the storm after a tanker crashed into the main bridge leading to it. The main terminal was also flooded after a storm surge coincided with the high tide, leaving airport staff struggling to keep water out. Florence intensified into a hurricane and was expected to strengthen rapidly as it churned across the Atlantic Ocean and threatened to make landfall on the U.S. East Coast by the end of the week. U.S. residents from South Carolina to Virginia were warned that Florence posed an increasing risk of life-threatening coastal storm surge, as well as flooding from heavy rainfall inland. Firefighters continue to battle the flames in Northern California, trying to outflank a wildfire that has forced the closure of an interstate highway and has set trees ablaze. The Delta fire scorched more than 40,500 acres in the Cascade Range since erupting on Wednesday in a forest canyon along the Sacramento River. No serious injuries or deaths have been reported, but the blaze has caused major travel disruptions. U.S. Vice President Mike Pence echoed over the weekend comments from President Trump that suggested an anonymous New York Times op-ed which detailed a resistance in the Trump administration amounted to a national security issue. Pence said that the person should do the honorable thing, that is to step forward and resign. Trump had earlier called on the U.S. Justice Department should find out who wrote the piece, adding that it was an issue of national security. Former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon has said that U.S. President Donald Trump is facing a coup. Bannon was pointing to an anonymous column in the New York Times detailing resistance within the Trump administration. Bannon made the comments during a visit to Italy, slamming Trump's immorality. Bannon said that many of the senior officials in his own administration are working from within to frustrate parts of his agenda and his worst inclinations. US President Donald Trump has agreed to provide written answers to questions in a defamation lawsuit brought by a former contestant on the television show The Apprentice. Lawyers for Trump and Apprentice contestant Summer Zervos agreed to exchange sworn answers to written questions by September 28th. Zervos was an Apprentice contestant in 2005 and had accused Trump of kissing her against her will at his New York office in 2007 and later groping her at a meeting at a hotel in California. Zervos came forward with the allegations in October 2016, shortly before Trump's election. Trump has denied the allegations. Swedish Prime Minister Stefan Löfven's Social Democrats look poised to take the lead in Sunday's general elections, with the anti-immigrant far right leading in the preliminary results. Ballots in more than half of the districts have been counted. The Social Democrats were seen winning 28% of the votes, down from 31% in 2014 elections. It was still uncertain, however, if Löfven, who heads one of the few left-wing governments in Europe, would be able to rustle up enough support in parliament to form a government. Around 1,500 people participated in a far-right march in the eastern German town of Cothen on Sunday evening. After a 22-year-old German man died overnight and 2 Afghans were detained on suspicion of killing him, protesters marched through the town, ending up at a vigil of candles and flowers at a playground where the incident allegedly took place. Meanwhile, a left-wing protest of about 150 people took place at the train station. A government plan to increase the age for collecting state pensions brought protests across Russia's 11 time zones on Sunday. Nearly 300 protesters have been arrested by the police. The government plan calls for the eligibility age for retirement pensions to be raised for 5 years to 65 for men and 60 for women. Opposition to it spans the political spectrum. Anti-corruption activist and Putin's most prominent foe, Alexei Navalny, urged supporters to protest the pension proposal on Sunday before he was sentenced to 30 days in jail for organizing an unsanctioned January protest involving a different issue. Hundreds of supporters of Brazil's far-right candidate Jair Bolsonaro gathered in Rio de Janeiro, Copacabana, to support the presidential hopeful who is recovering in hospital following a stabbing attack. The attack on Bolsonaro is a dramatic twist in what is already Brazil's most unpredictable election since the country's return to democracy 3 decades ago. Corruption investigations have jailed scores of powerful businessmen and politicians and alienated infuriated voters. About 200 Kosovo war veterans blocked the road leading to Banje during Serbian President Alexander Vucic's second and final day in the country. Kosovo declared independence from Belgrade in 2008, almost a decade after NATO airstrikes ousted Serbian forces and halted a crackdown on ethnic Albanians in a counterinsurgency. It is now recognized by more than 100 nations, but not by Serbia and Russia and 5 EU states. Moldovan President Igor Dodon was involved in a car crash but did not get seriously hurt. Dodon's condition is satisfactory and is reported to have suffered only scratches and bruises. A video posted on Facebook page of Moldova's State Protection and Guard Service showed 2 colliding with a truck as a truck moves towards the wrong side of the road. Clashes broke out in Chile to protest to mark the 45th anniversary of the 1973 coup that left then-President Salvador Allende dead and ushered in the 17-year dictatorship of General Augusto Pinochet. Police used a water cannon and fired tear gas at protesters who threw rocks, Molotov cocktails and bottles at police vehicles. The clashes occurred at Santiago General Cemetery, where the memorial to the disappeared is located. Coup anniversaries have triggered violent protests in the past, with Allende and Pinochet being divisive figures in the South American nation. Heavy rain accompanied by large hailstones battered Panorama in Greek capital Athens, paralyzing traffic. The unexpected storm lasted for 2 hours, bringing hailstones to Panorama, Lycaones and Prodous. The flooded main streets in these areas. The normally sunny and dry Mediterranean country has been lashed by rounds of torrential rain since the summer. Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras has ruled out an early election, saying that the left-led coalition would exhaust its term, which ends in late 2019. Tsipras said that he did not expect the country to be pushed to early elections because of disagreements within his governing coalition over a name deal with neighboring Macedonia. The Greek PM also added that even though coalition partner and Defence Minister Panos Kamenos opposed the name agreement, he would not dislodge the economic stability of the country. North Korea celebrated its 70th birthday with a grand military parade in Pyongyang. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un attended the event. Thousands of DPRK troops, tanks and artillery paraded through the Kim Il-sung Square. After the military parade, over 100,000 people in festive costumes walked through the square for celebrations. With the formation of glowing drones, lasers and stadium-sized gymnastic shows, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un relaunched the mass games in a pageant that declared that the waves of international sanctions would break against the strength of North Korea's self-reliance. Sunday's premiere in Pyongyang was the first mass games in 5 years and was a major part of a carefully choreographed weekend of events designed to highlight Kim's diplomatic campaign and plans for economic development. Thousands of dancers, gymnasts, martial artists and singers acted out scenes dressing familiar themes from North Korean propaganda. US President Donald Trump has welcomed North Korea's decision to celebrate its 70th anniversary without the customary display of nuclear missiles. Trump termed the absence of intercontinental ballistic missiles from the parade as a positive sign for bilateral relations. Trump, through his series of tweets, also cited some experts' opinions that North Korea cut out the nuclear missiles to make President Trump happy. China's top legislator Li Jiangshu met with Kim Jong-un in Pyongyang. Li headed a delegation to visit the DPRK as a special representative of Chinese President Xi Jinping. Li conveyed Xi's warm greetings and presented Xi's signed letter to Kim. In the letter, Xi said the people of DPRK have attained remarkable achievements in the course of socialist revolution and construction over the past 70 years. China's third internet court, the Beijing Internet Court, opened in the Chinese capital to pave way for easy lawsuit after the one opened in East China's Xinjiang province. And plaintiffs appear before the judge not in person but via video chat. Parties who refuse to show up online will still be seen ignoring summons. The court will handle first trials of cases occurred in the capital, including online shopping service, contract dispute and online financial loan. The members of Joint Christian Council, along with other activists, continued their protest for the second day in Kochi city, demanding the arrest of the bishop accused of allegedly raping a nun. Earlier, a group of nuns had also joined the protest, demanding for the bishop's immediate arrest. In June, a nun had complained that the bishop had allegedly raped her 13 times over a period of 2 years. India's main opposition party, the Indian National Congress, has called for a nationwide shutdown today over rising fuel prices and depreciation of the rupee. Congress party says 21 opposition parties are supporting the Bharat Bandh, besides a number of chambers of commerce and traders associations. The party demands that petrol and diesel should be brought under GST, by which oil prices could drop by about 15 rupees to 18 rupees. Karnataka state government declared public holiday for today for all schools and colleges in Bengaluru as a precautionary measure in view of the Bandh. A group of Hindus and Muslims in India's western Mumbai city took initiative to spread the message of communal harmony among people by welcoming together the Hindu elephant god Ganesha. Ahead of the 10-day celebration starting with Ganesh Chaturthi, apart from the usual crowd of Hindus in the processions, a unique blend of men wearing skull caps was also seen around, carrying the palanquins, carrying the idol of Ganesha and dancing to the drum beats, joyous on the occasion of taking Ganpati idol home.